Imagine this. You walk into a store, grab your coffee, tap your card, and done. A deal happens. It seems like an ordinary moment. But if someone were watching you from 5,000 years ago, they would think you just performed a magical ritual. One motion, and you get the product. Money. We use it every day, but almost no one asks, who actually invented money? How did the idea come about that paper, metal, or even digital numbers on a screen have value? And here's the surprising part. Most people believe money was invented by one specific king, or an ancient philosopher, or maybe the first bankers. But the truth is far more interesting, so much more interesting, in fact, that it shatters our usual understanding of civilization. Because money wasn't invented by anyone. Today, we'll dive into why that is, and what humanity actually needed money for. And most importantly, why this understanding helps us predict the future of global currencies, the dollar, crypto, and everything happening with the world's economy today. The myth. Everyone believes about who invented money. Ask anyone, who invented money? And you'll hear dozens of answers. Egyptian pharaohs, Lydian kings, Roman emperors, Chinese dynasties. But they're all just beautiful legends. Because money isn't like the wheel, electricity, or smartphones. It wasn't a single invention. It's a process, a technology that didn't arise in one place or time, but as the result of millions of small decisions made by ordinary people. It wasn't anyone's idea. It was a necessity. And to understand why humanity created money, we have to go back to where trade began. The world before money, and why it couldn't work. Picture a village. A few families. One grows vegetables. Another raises livestock. A third makes tools. It works until everyone needs to exchange something. But here's the problem. Let's say you need a cow, and you have bags of apples. You go to the herder and offer, "I'll give you 300 apples, and you give me a cow." The herder looks at you and says, 300 apples? They'll spoil in a week. I don't need them. And that's it. The deal can't happen. This is called the double coincidence of wants, and it shattered barter. Now, imagine a city, then a country, thousands of goods, thousands of craftsmen. Barter simply couldn't support complex societies. Humanity needed another system, a universal intermediary, something everyone could agree to accept, even if they didn't need it right now. Thus, the first form of money was born. Proto-money. When people didn't know they were using money, we often think of money as coins or paper. But the first money was anything. Cowrie shells, bags of grain, skins, salt, metal ingots, and even large livestock. And here's the key point. No one sat down and said, "All right, folks, let's invent money." People just picked things that were universally recognized, were difficult to counterfeit, were easy to store, were convenient to carry, and most importantly, everyone was willing to accept. This was the natural, organic evolution of money. Humanity didn't invent money. It found it. The genius move of governments. Standardizing money time. Passes, trade grows, and then the state does something that changes the world. It takes control of the monetary system. This happened about 2,600 years ago in Lydia, in modern-day Turkey. Lydian kings realized people were already paying with metal, gold, and silver. But everyone made their own coins, with varying weights and purity. And then the state thought, what if we mint coins with the same weight and quality, and guarantee it? That's when official coins were born, with the imperial symbol, with a guarantee of value, with trust. And here's the important part. They didn't invent money. They standardized what people were already using. It's kind of like if someone invented roads by laying asphalt over existing paths. People were already walking. It just became more convenient. Why governments actually needed money trade is beautiful. But let's be honest, governments didn't standardize money just for people's convenience. They did it for control. Here are the main reasons. Reason number 1. The army, to pay soldiers, you need a regular salary. To collect taxes, you need a universal way to accept payments. Reason number 2. Taxes. When you run a large state, you want to be sure everyone can pay equally. Grain, hard to store. Livestock, unpredictable. Coins, perfect. Reason number 3. Strengthening power. A coin with the ruler's image is not just currency. It's a propaganda tool. Every transaction is a reminder of who's in charge. Money, charter, agreement. But how did we start trusting paper? Okay, coins make sense. But how did people move to paper? It seems strange unless you understand the fundamental principle of money. Money isn't an object. Money is trust. When trade became global, carrying bags of gold coins wasn't just inconvenient, it was dangerous. So, the first bankers, merchants, and goldsmiths emerged. People would leave their gold for safekeeping and receive a receipt that could be exchanged. Those receipts became the first paper money. And here's the trick. These pieces of paper weren't valuable because they were beautiful. They were valuable because everyone believed there was real gold in the bank. Trust. Value. Value. Money. Fiat. When money was no longer backed by anything except faith. In 1971, President Nixon ended the gold standard. From that point on, the dollar was no longer redeemable for gold. And this is the most fascinating moment in the history of money. Money began to exist purely because of collective agreement. It became valuable because we all decided it was. Because the government said, you must accept the dollar in transactions. This is called fiat money. Fiat. Let it be. And we all agreed. Bonus for those who watched until the end. If you made it this far, here's a bonus that most people have never heard before. For thousands of years, historians believed that barter came before money, that humans first traded goods directly, and only later invented money to make it easier. But modern economic research tells a very different story. Anthropologists studying ancient civilizations discovered something shocking. There is no solid evidence that large barter economies ever existed. Instead, the earliest societies used credit systems, not barter. People kept mental accounts. I owe you. You'll pay me later. Money didn't start as coins or paper. It started as debt. Actual physical money appeared later, mainly so governments could collect taxes and pay soldiers. And here's the mind-blowing part. Coins didn't replace barter. They replaced trust between people. When societies became too large for everyone to know each other personally, trust had to be outsourced into metal, paper, and eventually code. So every time you use money, you're not really exchanging value. You're exchanging trust, crystallized into a system. And that raises a final question. If money is just trust, what happens when trust disappears? If this bonus changed the way you think about money, drop a comment. And if you want more videos like this, make sure you're subscribed. For those who stayed with us until the end, here's a special bonus. Did you know that the first paper money wasn't invented in Europe or the West? It was actually created in China during the Tang Dynasty, around the 7th century. The idea of using paper instead of coins or metal was revolutionary. It allowed merchants to carry large sums of money without the weight and risk of carrying metal coins. This was a game changer for global trade, And it's incredible how this innovation led to the paper money systems we still use today. Talk about a long-lasting impact.